Your friend quite Isaac. Me were London market. Me ye juma me sasa bidie ni ebro. Me ye ebro waka mu bidie waka mu. Na me use phone. Phone na me use no de ye juma pa. Ai na nkrofo hia me a o mo de frɛ me. Yetumi frɛ me Tema station. Nungwa tashi labadi achimota me ko load. Ejuma me ye no obi a hia me a o frɛ me e wo phone so. Ntimi phone ya ade bia me nkonja no ebu kura me niska kura me tumi tiwa na matare me phone e bele me pick ya na siko size ejuma be pio achi moto na ma fla boys na me no me yejo no na yakoyi ye kura na se we nye skin try ya kakura ye betumi aba obetumi da send me mobile money mobile phone help me wa.
Hello and welcome to the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications. It's another exciting episode of the Chamber Dialogue. As the last word says, it's a dialogue. We normally will bring people into the chamber to have conversations that end up enlightening you and also educating you about all things within the telecommunications ecosystem. And today we are talking about a very important topic, towers, and how important they are within our communities. The red, white, sometimes gray colored, sometimes concealed, metallic structure that you see in your neighborhoods. How important are they? Well, I know they are very important, but before we get into the keys about how important it is, we're going to have a conversation with two very important and knowledgeable individuals when it comes to towers in your communities. If you're living in the Western region, in the Volta region, in the Greater Accra region, in Ashanti region, in the northern region, Upper East, Upper West, all the 16 regions of Ghana, you are making use of over 6,000 or even more towers that have been sited in different locations to enable you make phone calls in times of emergencies, browse the internet and the likes. But we want you to know more about it, so you better appreciate telecommunication towers. So when we return, I'm going to more or less introduce our two guests to you, some very wonderful people that you would love to meet. And then we'll talk about towers. We'll also talk about the concerns that people like you may have about towers, answer some of your questions, that we can answer, and then share with you how critical towers are to your daily life from the moment you wake up to the time you actually go to bed. So do stay with us. This is the Chamber Dialogue on the Facebook page as well as the YouTube page of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications. My name is Bobie Osei, and we'll be right back.
Charlie, I don't sit up, cry, Charlie.
You know they sit up. You never go sit up. Every day you know they sit up. Why you no get the slides?
Forget. Sefa crash. She keep chop.
Call him over.
Sefa. Charlie, call her for phone. Charlie. Wait for my phone.
It's okay.
Oh, where are you two? Why?
I'm sorry.
You're always late. What's up?
Sorry.
Charlie, move.
Let's go. Hello? Yes.
Charlie, I don't sit up, cry, Charlie.
You know they sit up. You never go sit up. Every day you know they sit up. Why you no get the slides?
Forget. Sefa crash. She keep chop.
Call him over.
Sefa. Charlie, call her for phone. Charlie. Wait for my phone.
It's okay.
Oh, where are you two? Why?
I'm sorry.
You're always late. What's up?
Sorry.
Charlie, move.
Let's go. Hello? Yes.
You're welcome back to the Facebook and YouTube pages of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications. Like I said before we went on a short break, we are talking about the importance of telecommunication towers in your communities. If you live in Labadi, if you live in somewhere in Ho, if you live in Osu, if you live in Tamale, there are telecommunication towers mounted all around us, and they're doing some important work. And we have two people here who have extensive knowledge when it comes to the topic. And I'm going to have them introduce themselves to us, and then we'll get into the conversation. We'll learn about I mean, your concerns. We hear what concerns you have when it comes to towers, how safe they are, how they look, how strong they are, and all of that, and also tell you about how they impact your daily lives as an individual and also as businesses. So I'm going to start, as I say, ladies first, with the lady to my left. If you can kindly, Madam Inikano, introduce yourself to us. We're very grateful.
Thank you, Ruby. My name is Enid. I'm the head of legal and public affairs of ATC Ghana. We are into tower infrastructure, not just tower, basically telecommunications infrastructure.
Okay, so the name is Enid, not Enid.
You have to drag the E a little, so it's Enid.
I love it. And then Jojo, is it Jojo or Jojo?
The first one is fine. Jojo.
Kindly introduce yourself to us.
Yeah, so my name is Samuel Jojo Blaushi. Jojo for short. I prefer to be called Jojo.
Love it.
I work with Helios Towers Ghana as their estates manager.
Great, awesome. Now, before we all knew we were going to come to discuss this topic of the importance of towers within our communities. Now, coming to work, I'm driving past a lot of towers, and I'm like, wow, these things, they look so huge. They are tall, a little lanky, but they are very important. I mean, when you see towers, you've worked in the space for how many years?
12 years.
12 years. You?
Since 2003, I need to do the math.
That's 20 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's that quick. I didn't
Wow.
So just realized.
So tell me, when you see towers, you've seen them. What comes to mind? What do you think of?
For me, when I see them, immediately what comes to mind is making wireless connectivity possible, right? That we are all contributing, because we work in the sector, to how we are contributing towards making communications possible everywhere for everybody. That's like when I see it, makes me feel proud that we are contributing to a good cause.
Okay, what about you, Judy?
Yeah, I think I associate with in need. Yeah, so you restricted it to Ghana. When we look at the landscape, when I drive around, whether in the city or in a rural area, and I visit sites, I feel proud because this is our contribution to the development agenda, to bring people closer to each other, to bridge the communication gap, to bridge the information gap. So things that would need you to travel, you do in the comfort of your home, in the comfort of your hospital or school, wherever you find yourself. So I have to be proud.
I mean, they mentioned proud, and it takes me back to, years past when if someone wants to make a call, they might have to go to the post office and then actually schedule a call, and then possibly come back days or weeks later before they'll be able to make that call or even receive a call. Yeah. If my mother, if she's in the village and I need to send a particular message, if there's no messenger going some years back, I'm not that old, but in the olden days, you might have to wait until a particular time before you move there and deliver that message. Enid was sharing her story about how back then.
Yes, in the 90s, this is not like, 90s is now 20 plus years. Yeah. But in the 90s, when I was growing up, when we needed, when extended family or family were going to call, we had a neighbor with a landline. So they would call, leave a message, and then they will come and call us and wait 15, 20 minutes, and then go and sit and wait in somebody's house for that call to come through before you can interact with family members who were not immediately around that. So, yes, things have evolved. Right?
But now, everyone has a phone, 2, 3 phones. The young kids even have their phones they're using to watch their YouTube, their Twitter, their TikToks and the likes. So, indeed, we have come very far. And the towers have played a key role in making sure that the wireless connection, happens. Now, people see this white and red, structure or structures, in their neighborhoods. What I see are members with, batteries and what's it called, cables and antennas. How can you walk me through how a tower will end up in a place like a Labadi or an Osu or a Ho or a Tamale? Can you? I'll direct this to you, Jojo, and then you can contribute. How do we get towers in our communities?
That's an interesting question. I will try to keep it short because it's actually a very involving exercise before you get there.
Summarize it for us.
I'll try. Before I answer that question, I just wanted to draw your attention to the earlier point made on waiting for booking a call and going.
Yeah.
That was actually the landline.
Yes.
So that restricted you to a location. But when you bring it to the cell telecommunication towers, we're talking about on the go.
In your car,
Yeah.
you're walking, you're
yes.
running.
So that tells you the kind of planning that must go into such a construction or such a development, so that you, whilst you're on the go, you're still enjoying.
There's no cutting.
No. So first of all, let me draw your mind to the grid system.
Yes.
So when you look at the grid system, there are lines that must join at certain points, and you cannot pull some of the lines in different areas. And those lines hold together that particular grid. So the planning of these sites goes in this mindset of the grid system. So you can't just get up and put the cell site or the telecommunication tower anywhere you like. You must fit it to that grid.
Okay.
That's why you realize there are specific locations. Those who have interacted with us before would realize we drive to specific locations to hunt for, and we work within a certain radius.
So you can't mount towers anywhere?
No, because if you mount it in just anywhere, you distort the communication plan. So there will be interferences, and people cannot enjoy it anymore.
Okay.
Yes, so that's the beginning.
The planning.
Yes,
Okay.
so putting it on the grid like that. And then the next thing that must be considered is the facilities that are there. So for example, to be able to identify a location, there is the transmission part also that must be thought of.
Okay.
And when I say transmission, that is the line that connects all the sites together. It's a technology that connects all the sites together and moves the information across.
What is all the sites? Are you talking about
all the towers.
all the towers? So if I'm in the zoo, for example, there are multiple towers.
Yes.
In different locations.
Yes. But there's a transmission plan.
Okay.
That must make sure that whatever communication or whatever activity that tower is serving, that whatever is happening there is sent back to where it is supposed to go. So for example, you are in Tamale, I am in Accra. For us to communicate, there should be that path.
So if one tower here, one tower there, another tower there, we need another infrastructure sitting somewhere to pull the information and redirect the information.
Yes, so there is a bigger infrastructure, which is the mother infrastructure that controls all these towers.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And for it to, for example, let's say this is the main machine. For this to get communication here, there are lines that, so sometimes we use the dishes, the big dishes, the microwaves, or we dig the ground and lay cables. Those are the lines that send the signal back to this guy, who is the mother. So this grid is very important, considering even that transmission. So if you miss it, communication breaks down.
So what you're saying is that even in the planning phase, there needs to be some adherence to some laid down structures as to where one tower has to be, where another tower, where the transmission infrastructure also has to be.
Exactly.
So once we do all that planning, where do we move to?
Yes, so once that is done, then you go into looking for the property on the ground, which would be suitable.
So you go to Osu, for example.
You go to Osu, for example, you zoom it to some properties that are within that particular grid point.
I want Osu Papaya.
Let's say. So once you identify that, then you go into, talking to, if you find the owner, talking to the owner, stakeholder engagement.
Okay.
So do all the necessary discussions, get the owner's permission, conditions agreed. Then you go ahead to talk to those are living around, just to inform them that this project is about to happen, this is what it's about. When all that is done, which is the stakeholder engagement, the consultation, then you can now engage the permitting authorities. So we have, right now we work with 5 of them. So we have the civil aviation, they must look at the height so that when planes and helicopters are flying around, they don't run into it. So they clear that.
Not to catch you, can you chip in if you want to chip in terms of the processes we need to follow? Now he's speaking about
acquiring the land.
Yes, acquiring the land.
So in speaking to the neighborhood, obviously, to draw their attention to the tower that would come up eventually. So after acquiring the land, we have to start the permitting process. Basically to highlight that we don't just also get up and build, right? We go through stringent checks and permitting processes involving various agencies to ensure that we are doing it in the right way.
Like,
to protect...
like which agencies, if I may ask?
So I'll come to
Yes,
that.
ma'am.
To protect the average person.
Yeah.
So it starts off with Ghana Civil Aviation, like he mentioned, because of our height. You know, you mentioned earlier that they are big, and they are for, like he added earlier, right? There needs to, the signal has to reach the next place. If it doesn't, it will drop. So gone are the days where you are driving, and or even still when you are on the highway, you'll be speaking and up to a point, then it will drop. And there's a gap until you get to the next place. So unless you get that link between the towers, there would always be gaps in either communication or whatever use we are putting the telecommunication service.
So if this one tower is sitting here,
yes,
the signal goes out, it has to be able to reach this particular one. And like that.
And like so it's continuously linked. Otherwise you will get drops along the way. Right? So back to the permit. So after getting the permit, GCA we call it for short, Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, to be sure that the height would meet the flying requirements to protect against flight path, right? Then we go to other agencies. They include Radiation Protection Agency to ensure that the emissions are what we said it is, and in line with not just Ghana standards. This is international standards. It's the ICNIP standard, the International Commission on Non-Ionic Radiation Protection, right? ICNIP standards, and it's worldwide. It's not exclusive to Ghana. That's what we all apply. So we get the radiation protection conditional approval to be sure that we would emit non-ionic radiation.
And these standards are adhered to by all like countries, you know, the US, Ghana, every
developing every single. We all adhere to that to ensure protection of humans, and all of us, including ourselves, because we work on it. So we need to be protected as employees, and then the people in the neighborhood as well. So we get radiation protection, we get fire permits to be sure that, you know, it's not just, it can't just catch fire. Like we put in the necessary protections for fire. Then we get environmental protection agency permits as well to ensure that environmentally we are doing, so you know, EPA, it could be noise, right? It could be everything. EPA takes into consideration a lot of things. It even includes the structure, even though we get bill permits from the assembly related to the structure as well, right? But EPA would also come in with the EPA permits, all before it is we start any sort of construction, plus the bill permits before we start any sort of construction. So it takes quite a bit.
Wow. I mean, that's quite a lot. I mean, a lot of, like you mentioned, consultations that need to be done. You know, getting approval from, you know, the consent, you know, of people in the neighborhoods, you know, that you want to mount your towers. Approval from regulatory bodies, you know, and other agencies, amongst others. Now, I'm sure this will not be, you know, easy. I mean, for you, as someone who's been in the industry for close to 12 years and 20 years, man, I still can't believe it, 20 years. Are there key challenges that you identify that you can share with us that you feel like is hindering your ability to mount more towers, to be able to ensure that the ordinary Ghanaian has great connectivity and is able to use their internet, you know, whenever, you know, they want to?
There are quite a few challenges. I think key amongst them is, I think, the misconception generally by the general public. So like Joe mentioned earlier, whenever we are going to build, we will go into a neighborhood, and every site in the city or in a maybe peri-urban, close to cities or in the cities, would have a neighbor. It would not be. It would not be. Maybe in the rural areas, you get places where it sits on like a farm, so there's no immediate neighbor. But most will have neighbors, and a lot of the time they are resistant to having towers built in their areas for various reasons, which when they do voice it out, it's usually this misconstrued idea that it would give them illnesses and therefore it should not be there.
So it's not necessarily the building of the infrastructure itself. Of course, I look at the building of a tower. I'm watching videos about seeing the different members that are being put together, how it's being. So we wake up and we see the tower sitting there, but you as a technical person, isn't that also an issue, the building itself?
Well, so you see, this is huge investment.
Yeah.
And anybody who is going to commit that kind of investment would not just joke with it.
Yeah.
Will go through thorough process and engage qualified people with high level skills and knowledge. So for example, from the design stage, what we are designing, what it goes through.
Wow.
Because we design to withstand wind speed. And the wind speeds we are talking about is not even wind speed in our Ghanaian area. No, we are talking about tropical cyclone wind speed. Yes, serious wind speed.
To ensure that the towers are not, they are
never
stable.
falls down. Yeah. Yes, because you can't put all that money and it falls down, it damages, you have to invest again. You can't do that. So yes, you may call it difficult in installing, but because we work with methods and steps, which are, scientifically developed. So it's actually straightforward. Once you follow it, then you get qualified people. You get it done the right way. It stands the test of time. Maintenance routines are applied every now and then. So very safe.
So we have people watching us, on Facebook and on YouTube. And if you're watching and you have a question, kindly send it in the comment section, and we'll ask our guest here. And speaking of that, I'm just going to go into that before we get the comment from the viewers. There are concerns, like you mentioned, concerns about the towers, giving people ailments. I want head on. What do you have to say about that?
So Enid mentioned the ICNIP guidelines. You see, for this development to come out, people sat down to look at what we are actually emitting. Looked at it on this, I don't want to go too technical. So there's this electromagnetic spectrum where we looked at it. And we realized that what the towers emit, or should I, not the towers, the antennas on the towers emit are far less than a lot of the things in your house. Even the bulb in your house emits more.
Wait, hold on. What did you say?
Even the bulb, the light we are looking at emits more than the antenna on the tower. Why am I saying that? So the antennas, if you go into the technologies that are used, allowable limit for powering it, not averagely 40 watts. I said 40 watts.
Yes.
You can imagine. Your street light is 400 watts.
Wow. So what you're basically saying is that bodies like the RPI, bodies like the EPA, have done their research and are able to, before you mount a tower, ensure that it emits allowable. I mean, this is not coming from you. This is coming from the RPI and then the other bodies you spoke of.
The world bodies who are governing telecommunication, they put together the standards so that people are overprotected. I shouldn't even say protect, overprotected.
Okay.
So that explains why you see that we put in place a lot of the towers, because the power levels are so low that they can't travel sometimes beyond a kilometer. So when you're making a call and you move away a kilometer and there's no tower in the next kilometer, your call will drop. That tells you how weak the power is. So it's actually very harmless.
Wow. Now we have a question.
If I may
Yes, please.
quickly add to that. So the radiation, what's the signals that the antenna on the towers emit are called non-ionic, right?
Can you break it down for us?
Okay, so I'm also not a
They
technical
don't
person.
react with your body.
Okay.
That's
So
the main. It doesn't ionize.
there's ionic radiation and there's non-ionic radiation. The ionic radiation is what causes cancer, right? So those are the X-ray machines where they break down cells in your body, right? Non-ionic cannot break down a cell and enter into my body and change any cells, which would then may be cancerous or not, right? So it is non-ionic, and so far as it's non-ionic, there's been various studies that support the fact that the radiation emitted from the towers are non-ionic. That's why it's still governed by the ICNIP rules, which is International Commission on Non-Ionic Radiation Protection.
I like that. So basically, I mean, we're not radiation experts here, but it's important to state that like bodies like ICNIP, the RPI, the EPA are the ones, and you as a viewer can actually walk up to them, maybe show up to their offices and make such inquiries, and you get the education you need on the fact that the radiation emitted, by towers, is it comparable even to the ones that are coming from your phones, the microwaves in your home,
the
TVs, the power lines, that are running, in your neighborhoods? You can do that education, on your own, and also go to these places we've mentioned, like the EPA and the RPI, amongst others. Now, so then we had a question from Jerome Kweku on social media. He was asking, is it true it's cancerous? I think we spoke to that. Now, he also asked, so where did the perception come from if it is not cancerous? I don't know if we have time to even answer that.
I can't say social media, right? These days, the internet is open to everybody. And anybody can put out any data. And the thing is, those information may not be backed by the science, but it's out there. So you read it, you read it and you adopt it, then it becomes what you believe in, rather than going to the sources with the relevant information or the science and data to back what they say.
There's another one from Ebenezer Doku. He's also saying that LND gave cancer. Is that a misconception? So we've spoken to that. Like you said, we're not radiation experts, but the research done by the RPI, EPA, and ICNIP and the likes, which points otherwise. So you can't take the step to independently walk to an EPA office if you get the opportunity, or RPI.
Maybe RPI is the best. They are the designated body. Rather.
Yes, walk there, and you get the answers you need to ensure that you understand that you are safe, around the towers. And then so what are some of the benefits? I think we'll get to the benefits in a bit. And also, do telecommunication towers have any negative effects? And a question from Bonnie Rela: radiation protection is very important for our unsuspecting people. They live too close to these cell towers. That's his comment from Bonnie. So we've spoken about the ailments. We'll get to the benefits, but then what about the aesthetics? And also the structural integrity, if you can briefly talk about those. Some people say it looks too some way, it's a lot of metals, and also it's too close to me. Will it fall, will it shake? Just briefly touch on that, and then we'll switch to the benefit of the towers.
Let me attempt it. So aesthetics. The reason we use a lot of what we call the lattice, the red and white colored metal members, is because in our part of the world we are not building high-rise buildings. If we were putting up very tall buildings like 30 floors,
70,
you will not see any of this lattice, this red and white around at all.
And by lattice, he's talking about a type of tower. So they are the monopoles, the lattices, the guys, and then the other ones. So the normal ones you see that look triangular, or squarish, red, white, they are the lattice. Yes.
You will not have seen those at all. And trust me, this is one of the safest you can have. The reason being that there's a lot of engineering that goes into it. And I know people question the design, but the design is how it is for protection and for safety.
So it can sit well.
No matter the wind speed, no matter what falls on it, it stays in its place.
So like in terms of design, when it comes to design, as a human being, you have your two legs to stand on to give you, some firm grounding. Exactly. The towers also need, they need that firm grounding, and it's being factored into the design, I guess.
Exactly.
Okay. Any thoughts about the aesthetics? Some people say it's red and white. Is this? They're too,
And regarding the red and white, right, those are determined by GCA. It's part of the requirements that when you build above a certain level, we have aviation warning lights on it to
Yes,
alert
yes.
pilots, but at the same time, they also insist on the red and white because abroad or when you travel, not necessarily, maybe not so much in West Africa, but in Europe and in the States, you see them more grey in their natural color, so that it blends in
to the
more.
environment.
Yes, the red and white with the exact measurements are determined by a GCA. That's why it's red and white. Otherwise, it would have been their normal colors are grey, or if it is a pine tree, it may look like a normal pine tree, so with yellow camouflage, green camouflage sort of around it. Yes.
So basically, in terms of structural integrity, it's built to withstand a lot of things. So it's firm. So if you're around the towers, you know that a lot of thought has been given to it to ensure that it does not fall over or anything.
Yeah, and just to add to the color, what Enid was saying, so that color was chosen for visibility.
Visibility as well.
So those who are flying around can see it easily.
Beautiful. So in all of this, the message you're getting is that we are adhering to rules by the agencies and the regulatory bodies.
And a lot of thought has gone into it.
So we're going to go on a quick break, and then when we return, though, we'll be looking into how important they are to you as an individual and also a business. You might be the son of a shop owner in Mokola somewhere, or you might have your own small business, or you might be someone who works in an office. You're wondering what's the importance of the tower? Every day when I wake up, I'm able to make my calls. We are able to use the internet. But does the tower play a role in your ability to use your Wi-Fi? When you go to the mall, what is the importance of the tower to you? So we are going to go for a quick break. When we return, we'll delve into that with Enid and Jojo. Do stay.
Hello.
Hello. Mami ni London.
Mambe.
Oh, me. Mami, ni London no.
Auntie Becky Anna.
Hey, we saw me. Hey, what to say? Ayo, me who watch no be what to say with you.
Oh, nyame adomo bia ho ye na wo so e.
Ah, ye dan nyame ase. Hey, but say why your mommy penny.
Oh, nyame ye das.
Baby, madam for be bagana.
Hey, sir.
Time John, I'm saying your supplies.
Sir?
Aye. Shoe size be now she.
38.
Oh, me to 40 close.
Oh, and the kids with me ashe.
Oh, sir.
Hey.
Natari.
And this size 12.
Hey, I didn't even
Oh,
madam for no bedroom Ghana 4 days new.
Okay.
It's make a chance on for what? Me mani akula kaka.
Hey, that's Becky.
Tiny shoes in kwa. Kaka kribishimu. Mo bia hu so ase.
Mate. And one ni.
Obe for what?
You what that say?
Yo, bye bye.
Bye. Hey.
Where Gina, what is no confirm born? I've been calling you, sir. I'm not picking a call.
I was on a call. Do you know what has happened?
I don't know. Me.
See that my auntie that I said that she's in London like 15 years now. I've not heard from her. She just called me.
Where did you go and sleep?
Ask me. I don't even know.
Is she coming to take you?
No. But she's sending us things.
No, wait.
Why have you stopped?
Wait. Gina, Nego auntie, when she called you, did she mention any other person's name?
I don't remember anything like that. But how does that matter?
Matter so. Use Moicho. This is the new way people are using to fraud people.
Fraud?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Come on, go me like am I sure?
Wait, they said the person will call me in 5 minutes time.
Yo, boy, about what they want you can't man 20 minutes, yo, yeah. Not gonna waste my time.
Wait, you're talking. Hello? Yes, this is Gina. My auntie say you're bringing me the things.
Aye, your mama nyama se me fama.
Intimate and your mano.
Oh, me will be a year yet deliver mammy intimate nyama nya be mano. Not the bishia why.
Ah, okay, with us.
Would they mean yako? Mamma for back.
Yo, I should have seen this viola.
Mommy, offer ne femo ya ni what?
I should have seen this view. She'll come back right now.
Wait. This woman, I mean, believe ye. Let's go and query her. What query?
Wait, me, I believe so. Wait. Yes, hello.
Hello. Yenya problem kakra bi o.
Hey, problem be.
Papa na ode nyoma ne ba no wenya force kakra bi na.
Fault be.
Ohia emwa. Sisia de min kiteska me so ameni mobile money. Nti se obetumi am Wano eya na me de usika na ma.
Eden potin na ye papa no.
Car tire na pai.
Ne car tire apai. Nti ohia be sese.
Ohia be se 200 cedis.
200 cedis. Odi en pacho me ba me for.
No, but you 200 Ghana. That's the problem, sister. What they one city can't amount to.
Asha, let's read question.
Very here. Charlie.
Hello. Pacho se me auntie Ben si fan your man bre Caro ana.
Aye.
Na se first was Belinda.
Dabi na e kalu.
And also fan your man bre me.
Aye.
Pacho me di ndi sen.
Madam, nyoma no pe na se wompe.
Odi aye me pen your man biom keep him.
Oh, aden.
Oh, keep him. Unko answers 25 different. Aden. Hello. Hello. Aisha.
Hello. Hey, me favor. Hey, Charlie. Carlos Gade. Be smart. Use Oyito. Don't become a victim of mobile money fraud. Stay safe.
Hello, welcome back to the Facebook and YouTube channels of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, and it's been an exciting and enlightening conversation so far. We're learning about the importance of towers in your communities. You could be living in Kaswa, Taifa, Tamale, Kufiridwa, Ho, wherever, or even outside the country. Towers are an integral part of our lives, and in the past few minutes, about 30 minutes or so, we've been talking about how people get towers into their communities, the consultations that go into bringing a tower into a particular community that you would see, the approvals you get from the regulatory authorities as well as the agencies like EPA, and also the issues around the cancerous nature of it. We've explained that yes, before you even mount a tower, issues of radiation, how much radiation it emits, are regulated by the authorities to ensure that it's not harmful to you. But we admitted we are not radiation experts, so you can walk into the RPI office or call them and you get the education you need to assure you that the towers in your neighborhoods that allow you to make your phone calls and browse the internet and all YouTube are not harmful to you. So we are back here to basically wrap it up with the importance of towers to you as an individual, as a business, as a family, as a church, or as a group. So we're going to start with Jojo to talk to us about, for the individual watching who's wondering about the impact and the effect. We've educated them about the fact that it is safe. Now talk to me about the practical benefits or importance of towers in our neighborhoods, the Taifas, the Nimas, the circles, everywhere. Talk to me about it.
Thank you very much. So to start, I like the way you put your question. You said neighborhood. Mm-hmm. So I just want to sound this home that the towers we build do not serve forests. Mm-hmm. They don't serve bushes. Yeah. They serve people. If you see a tower in the forest somewhere, it means it's only a transmission tower. It moves signal across so that because of the distance. Mm-hmm. But the best is to locate it in the neighborhood. And for those neighborhoods that have the towers close to them, some of the benefits are, for example, during COVID, we couldn't move around, but we had to still lead.
You had to call your friends.
We had to call. We had to, be on social media. Mm-hmm. And the good thing is the towers make it easy for you to, as it were, access the network, communication-wise, information-wise, on the go. So, like I mentioned in the beginning, you have the landline. When you leave the landline at home, you've left everything at home. Mm. But with the mobile, for example, when I was coming here, I used the online map, and it directed me all the way here. Mm. We couldn't have done that if it wasn't here. I would have been calling. In fact, I couldn't even call you because I don't have mobile. We would not have had mobile technology. For me to call you to even give me direction is either I get lost and go back home, and So schools also come in, education. So a lot of people can sit in the comfort of their home or even in a particular school and have professors in other countries lecturing them. Medicine. So in the hospitals, doctors who want, to leverage on high-skilled doctors in other countries. For example, if you take specialists in Kolebu, they could help other doctors in Nigeria.
So, I mean, no, not to catch you. So, just breaking it out for our people. So, people who are in traffic in Kaswa, or traffic in on the motorway, and they are late, and they want to call their colleagues and say, "I'm running late." Is it the tower that allows that call to go through?
Exactly so. If we did not strategically position the towers, it means you would not have been able to communicate. Nobody knows where you are. Wow. That's what it means.
So basically, these things, we didn't plan this, but how it works, if you're at home and you're watching and you're able to see the 3 bottles in front of me, if I make a call, I want to call you and I make a call here, my signal basically goes to the tower.
Yes.
Which is sitting in Usu somewhere.
Exactly.
And then it travels and it gets to you.
Thank you.
So if I'm in traffic in Kaswa, if you're trafficking in Kaswa and you're late, please call your phone and call your boss. There will be a tower that will basically receive your signal and then it will travel to your boss. And all of this, sometimes I guess, is because of the speedy nature of it. It's traveling at the light of sound, or if it's speed even. And all we are used to the fact that when I call, the person is on. But you don't realize that this is actually what is happening.
Yes. Can you imagine if we all had to queue in the banking hall? Well, with your mobile technology, you can sit at home.
Sit in your office.
Sit in your office.
And order the cake for your sweetheart.
You don't need to join queues. Do your financial transactions. Even order products. They bring it to your house.
Let's even bring it home to emergency cases.
Yeah.
Emergency cases. I mean, if you are there, we don't pray that any ailment or any calamity befalls anybody. But in the case of an emergency where someone is sick, so without the towers, you wouldn't be able to call the ambulance.
Yeah.
Without the towers, you won't be able to call so that the signal is picked.
Yes.
So for me, it appears like the towers are like the most important infrastructure in our neighborhoods because they connect us.
Yes.
If you want to call the police, you suspect there's an armed robbery case. Without the towers, you're not able to call. Your cell phone is useless. Correct me if I'm wrong. Without the towers.
Very, very right. And if you remember when recently our president launched the ambulance service, he mentioned that when you make a call, that phone call, they'll be able to locate where you are. That global positioning system is because of that tower that is there. So that tower is able to communicate locations, able to locate your phone. So when you're in trouble, somebody can easily drive to where you were and save you. So yes.
Wow. So I mean, if you're home and you're thinking, what was the use, what's the benefit? I think one person, let me just check, the person who sent that message is like, from Ebenezer Doku, he mentioned, so what are some of the benefits of telecommunication towers? Now, as an individual, Ebenezer Doku, your ability to even send this message to us happened because of the telecommunication tower. Because you sitting where you are, if it's at home, the message you sent, is sent to the closest tower. So you could get out of where you are and look for the closest tower around you. It is that tower that facilitated this. You got the message and then passed it on to other towers, and then we are sitting here and we got it. You didn't have to move from where you are. Maybe you can even send us where you are. If you had to come and deliver this message, I'll probably have to travel hours just to be able to deliver it. But then in a split second, you send this, right? Now, talk to me about, so we know about the individuals. I mean, the market woman who now we are paying mobile money. I mean, we're able to, correct me if I'm wrong, we're able to send these messages to them, text messages, WhatsApp messages, via the opportunity provided by the towers. Correct me if I'm wrong. But all of this is happening because let's look at businesses. What about a small business shop in some corner somewhere in cantonment where we are now, or a business in a high rise, multi-million-dollar business? Do they also use, benefit from the towers? And how? How do they end it? I don't know if you take this.
Sure. So all businesses, whether small or big, benefit from towers and the operation of telecommunication services in Ghana. So let's start off with a small business.
Yeah.
Right? these days we all can't do without our mobile money. Or even when sometimes I forget my money, my purse somewhere.
Yes.
But when I have my phone, I know I can pay because I'll have something logged onto my mobile money that I can quickly use to pay for certain transactions. So those businesses, it aids the business, because otherwise then I'll go home. I probably may not come back to that place to come and buy, right? But they get the benefit of me having access to telecommunication services because of the existence of the tower nearby to pay for that service. And for that business owner, apart from like receiving money, right, it also aids, because these days it affords them the ability to market online, because a lot of influencing and all of that, they are all small businesses using telecommunication services to grow their business or provide the relevant businesses that they do. As for the big entities, we cannot exist, the multinationals or even the relatively large companies. These days, gone are the days where we used to do everything like manually, right? So you write. These days, we sit and I send things to the next person in the, sometimes the person is sitting in the next room, right? I don't have to walk over, but it means because of that transmission of quick data, I send emails to my bosses in South Africa or in the US, and it's constant. Before we came here, I was on a conference call with my boss who is based in Paris, and we were on video talking and discussing certain issues that need to be dealt with. I'm not sure if this would have been possible without these towers to aid that sort of communication. So for us, it's key, not just communication, but also in data. We don't store things manually as much anymore. When I say I use manual and digital very much, but I'm talking of like the hard copies, paper copies, right? All our data is in the cloud, right? And cloud, you can't get to the cloud. It's not physical cloud that we touch. You can't get to the cloud.
When you say the cloud, people will think
Yes, it's not like a physical cloud we can touch. This is, well, I don't know. It's
a digital cloud.
A digital cloud in the air, right? That no eye can see. But that's where we save a lot of our data. It protects against theft, against fire, because it will be there, right? And obviously, it wouldn't be at just one cloud. You have cloud and backup, so that even if the cloud gets issues, your backup sources are there. So, with regards to the big companies, we live without telecommunications. I don't know if, like recently, one of the network providers, when their undersea cable got cut, did you see the impact on businesses? The fact that it's because without these sort of services, which cannot be provided, so the network providers, right, they'll provide us with the networks, but they need a certain infrastructure to do that work. Without that infrastructure, they are not able to offer that services. So it goes hand in hand.
I love it. So now you mentioned, you said Paris, right? Some of us say Paris, but Paris.
But before you come in, when she mentioned Paris, I remember back in the days, some of us are a little old. So we used to write letters. So when you write, instead of the email, which we use today, you would have written a letter, waited for 3 to 4 weeks.
I used to have a pen pal. My pen pal was Van Damme, the action. He used to write to those people.
Exactly.
But it brings a point home about the fact that the advances we've made in facilitating communication in a very instant manner.
Yes.
Now I don't have to write and ask Van Damme for a picture. You can either send an email if you have access to the email
and his picture will be online.
Online to download from Google. Wow. You spoke about infrastructure, and now we've been designated, or telecommunication infrastructure, including towers, have been designated as critical information infrastructure. And by that, can you break it down? Can you compare how important towers currently are to utility services such as water and electricity? Because these days, when you have light off, for some people, if they have their phones and they have access to the internet, it's fine for them. So can you compare, speak about telecommunication towers as critical information infrastructure and put in that context of it being like a utility now?
It is a utility, just like, so I think those we keep referring to those periods of time some time ago where it was just water and electricity, the great power, seen as a utility. But we have evolved, right? Since a few years ago, all the companies within the telecommunication sector, from the active to the passive, which means the network providers and those of us who do infrastructure, have all been designated as critical information infrastructure. And the essence is to highlight the protections needed, right? So we are being taken through various steps by the Cyber Security Authority to ensure that our assets are protected, because they recognize that it is essential to the daily lives of everybody. We mentioned some of the benefits of, so if in case of a fire, you cannot call fire service.
If you don't have a working telecommunications tower around you.
Exactly, right? So it's become an essential part of our daily existence that it's being recognized by the government that then it needs to be protected. So as part of the utilities, also has the protections of the state in terms of its how we run it, and also for third parties who want to go near it, attach it, it's protected by the state with laws, so that if you try and damage or access without authority, then the law would deal with you.
I don't know if you have anything quickly to add to that, or that's fine.
Well, just had a thought in my mind that with what Enid is explaining, that's her expertise field, so I'll borrow a bit. It tells me that what we are doing is actually a national security area. So anybody who touches or disrupts our operation is causing threat to national security. So that should sink if people don't realize that. So when you are preventing people from, doing their work, operating the site, you are causing a national security problem. When somebody is in need of help and they cannot make that call because you have impeded operations, they have caused a national security problem.
That brings me to the issue of theft of infrastructure, active and passive, sell batteries and fuel and the likes. What do you have to say to people who are considering doing something like that? Or if you live in the neighborhood and something like that is happening where people are stealing the batteries of the towers, what do you have to say to people like that, and also the warning you want to give to such criminals?
Well, so let me take us back to the scriptures. So the Bible, I know, says that when Cain killed Abel, and he was asked, he said, "Am I my brother's keeper?" In this instance, for those who are doing this, you are actually, just as we condemn corruption, that when somebody carries out corruption, he has denied somebody of education, hospital. So if somebody dies because there are no hospital beds, or it's a similar thing you are doing. You are actually denying somebody of critical help. So when you steal this, you are worse than a criminal, if I have to say so. And if you know anybody who is doing this, and you shield them, you hide them, you are equally guilty. Because this is not only about the cost of the asset, but it's about the opportunity to help, the opportunity for somebody else to move ahead in life that you are denying from other people. It's selfishness. So please, if there's anybody carrying out this, stop it. Be very, very, very generous. Have love in your heart. Stop it. And if you know anybody who is doing it, please get in touch. The chamber will get you a link to or a contact to talk to. And also get to the nearest police station. Get to the nearest telecommunication office and report it. It doesn't matter who owns the facility, just report it. We take it very seriously.
I like that.
If I may add quickly, and also at the sites, you tend to see like a signage with numbers, and so easily you can call and you would reach us directly, whether it is Jojo's company or my company. So it's not difficult to reach us. Our numbers are displayed by the towers. So if you find that somebody is assessing it and they are like they call it jacking, they try and forcibly open the metals that we use as a wall or a fence around the tower. They jack it, go and steal fuel and our batteries. like Jojo highlighted, which disrupts the service, right?
And
it deprives the whole community, not just us and having to bear the cost to replace, but the whole community will be deprived for a period of time before we get the chance to replace them. So it's a duty on all of us, right? That in our areas, we are all watchdogs to protect our utility. I don't think that if we see that maybe it's like a Ghana water pipe has burst, right? We will not alert Ghana Water, or an electricity cable, not the cable, the ECG, the grid has fallen. We will take steps to alert them. Let's do the same.
Okay, now we have just about 2 minutes to wrap up. So for me, he's spoken to the people who might think of stealing. What's your message to Ghanaians and communities and neighborhoods who are resisting having the towers that might save their lives come into their neighborhood? What's your message to them?
My brief message is that the towers are there for us. It's for our benefit in our personal lives, commercially, how we do business during emergencies. So let's welcome them. They are there to serve us, help us grow our business, keep in touch, help us communicate better. So let's welcome it because it's for us. And
Juju, your final message, and also just the negatives if you refuse to have towers in your neighborhood. The negatives you might experience.
Yes, so the quality of the service will be very terrible. So you find out that some of us experience, okay, you're talking on the phone, you move and you cannot hear anything, there are drums in the line. It's because there are very few towers around you. We need a certain number of towers to be able to serve a certain population. You just don't look out of your window and see one tower and say, oh, but there's a tower here. No, we need enough. So I would rather encourage the people to welcome it, because this is not hazardous. This is not harmful. So welcome it. And we have realized that there are in certain neighborhoods, there are certain individuals who incite people against it. Please pick out those people and avoid them. They are against development.
All right. We have just 1 minute to go. So basically, like I said, I mean, the towers are safe. Like, you can go to the RPI, engage them, you learn about the radiation, the impact, and realize that the towers are actually super safe for you. But more critically, the towers are important for you as an individual, for your life. Without the towers in your neighborhoods, you will not be able to get good reception. You'll be complaining about bad reception, you'll be complaining about your internet connectivity. And now we're talking about 5G and the proliferation of 4G. If you want to be able to download at the speed you want to, the gigs you want to download, the series you want to watch, the educational content you want to watch, you need to know. The most important thing is not your laptop or your phone. It is the tower that is sitting there. The tower that is sitting there that allows you to be able to do all of this. Jojo, I think I want to call you just to make sure that people appreciate this. I'm making a call. I don't know if it's coming.
Just 1 minute.
I don't know if it's coming.
1 minute. I actually put it on pilot.
I put it on pilot.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
So
but I have activated.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So now I just made the call. It goes to this particular tower. It goes to this, and it reaches him wherever he is. Yeah. Whether it's in Tamale, whether it's in O, whether it's in Koforidua. So do ensure that you welcome the towers into your neighborhoods and read more about them. Like we said, the towers are here for you. This has been another edition of the Chamber Dialogue, proudly brought to you by the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications. And I want to thank Enid Kano from ATC Towers, and also Jojo Blaushi from Helios Towers for being here with us. They've been amazing. And if you have more comments, put them in the comment section on our Facebook and our YouTube page, and we will get back to you. My name is Babi Osei. Many thanks for watching, and we'll catch you another time with another edition of the Chamber Dialogue. The towers are here for you.
Fellow Ghanaians, to easily check the number of SIM cards registered to your Ghana card, please use the short code *402*1#. You can follow the following steps to find out how many SIM cards are registered to your Ghana card. Step 1. Dial the short code *402*1# on any network. Step 2. Enter your Ghana card PIN. Make sure you enter letters and figures without any spaces or hyphens for verification, just like this. Step 3. Make sure you enter your date of birth in numbers with the day followed by the month and the year you were born in without any spaces or hyphen for verification, just like this. Step 4. Once verified, you will receive an SMS with a list of mobile numbers linked to your Ghana card, including the corresponding networks. Now, if you identify any unknown mobile number or numbers linked to your Ghana card, please visit the service center or retail shop of your service provider for a delinking of the number or numbers. For more information, call 100 on all networks or NCA on 0800 110 622. Remember to register your SIM cards before the 31st of May 2023 to avoid being deactivated from your network. This message is brought to you by the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications with information provided by the NCA.